Chapter 21 Underground River. In addition to Han's son of Heaven, and his gang, were also joined by a few thugs they paid to come along. The group left steel armor shelter and marched into the mountains. Although they expected nothing good to happen, they still wanted to take the chance for the sake of the generous reward. In the past, if Han's son had not been blocked by Qin Xian and Son of Heaven, he might also have risked his life for the bounty. Now Han's son had no reason to take such risks, but it was clear that Son of Heaven and Luo Tianyang wanted to use him as a stepping stone, which made him want to kill them both. Han's son quietly followed them, guessing what they were about to do. When recruiting people, the gang had said they were hunting a mutant creature, and it was only because there were also many ordinary and primitive creatures that they needed more hands. Han's son, of course, couldn't take this seriously. To kill a mutant creature, the regular gang was more than enough. The dozen people around Son of Heaven could all kill a mutant creature on their own, let alone Son of Heaven himself. The extra hands were completely unnecessary, according to their story. Luo Tianyang and others casually killed the creatures they encountered along the way, and gave the meat to the hired people casually, which made everyone quite happy. The group had been going for 6 or 7 days, and the gang still had no intention of stopping. On the 8th day, they halted at a mountain pass. Very far from the shelter, there was no human activity. They encountered many different creatures. Son of Heaven and his gang had killed a lot of primitive animals on the way and kept some of the flesh as food. It seems that we are almost there. What on earth are they up to? Han's son had not heard anything, but judging from the grave look on their faces, this couldn't be a simple operation. They rested for a day at the campsite and crossed the mountain pass the next morning. After hiking a dozen miles, they saw a gap in the canyon so deep and dark that no one could see the bottom. Everyone lit a torch. The gang sent the hired people as the vanguard and followed them into the gap. The hired ones all knew it was time to put their life on the line, so they were dawdling. "Why are you going so slowly, bitches? Do you still want the rest of the money?" Luo Tianyang whipped a few people in the back and shouted. The thugs could only speed up going down. Han's son was among them. It was not too difficult to walk down, and nothing happened along the way until they reached the bottom. The thugs were relieved and started to talk and laugh again. It was very dark at the bottom of the gap, and the group had to rely on the torches. There was an underground river running through the huge space. Cross the river and go into the cave on the other side. Luo Tianyang pointed his whip to the other side. "Luo, I cannot swim." "This river is too wide," said a young man who had been recruited. "Who told you to swim? We have inflatable boats. Just row across." Luo Tianyang opened the parcel on the back of his mount, and there were indeed inflatable boats in there. After they inflated the boats, each one could sit 4 to 5 people. The group started to row the boats across. The speed of the water was not fast, and there was no risk of being rushed downstream. 2 boats soon reached the center of the river. All of a sudden, with a splash, a dark creature emerged from the water with half of its python-like body exposed. Its body was wider than a bucket and covered with shiny black fine scales. Its mouth was so large that it could fit a cow, but it wasn't a cow that was swallowed, rather someone on the boat. The giant body then put its full weight on the boat, which exploded with everyone on it falling into the water. Everyone was shocked and trying to row the boats back. Those who hadn't gone on the boat just dropped their boat and started to run back. With a glint of cold steel, the 2 running the fastest were beheaded by Luo Tianyang and another gang member. Luo Tianyang pointed the knife with blood on it at the rest and cried ruthlessly, "There is but one monster, so whoever reaches the other side can live. And I'll kill anyone who took the money and tries to run away. To live or to die, it is up to you." Everyone was intimidated by Luo Tianyang's vicious act and started to row towards the other side. "Assholes, you just want to feed the monster with humans," Han's son cursed in his heart. Those who fell into the water before were trying to swim to the other side, but were suddenly pulled into the water by something. It was so dark that no one saw what happened to them, but their fate could be imagined from the thick scent of blood. The hired boys dared not move forward, and Luo Tianyang used his knife again to force them. They didn't want to stay in the river, so they had to row hard. Han's son lit the surroundings with his torch while rowing the boat. In case the monster came out of the water, he had to summon Sacred Blood Beast soul armor at once to save his life. The monster again collapsed the boat, and everyone on it was screaming. Then what could be heard was only the waves rolling. "Row harder if you want to live." Han's son yelled at the two on the boat with him, who were petrified as he was rowing his heart out. "Fucking heartless bastards," he swore quietly. The two men were revived by Han Sen's shout and started to row desperately. From time to time, there were screams and splashes. Countless men must have been buried in the snake belly. Chapter 22. Broken Egg. There was no doubt that this giant snake was a sacred blood creature. Aquatic creatures were hard enough to kill, let alone a sacred blood creature. With his normal gang, Son of Heaven didn't even dare to hunt it, but was only trying to fill out the group so that they could safely reach the other side. Han's son took a look at the other side as he was rowing. After they passed the middle of the river, the torch could light up the other side a little bit. Since Han's son had started to practice jade skin, his body function seemed to get a lot better. Vision was also a lot stronger than before, and he seemed to have gained night vision as well. Now, he could clearly see a cave 6 to 9 feet wide on a cliff. Although there was no path, the cave must have been the gang's destination. Han's son was looking at the cave when he heard a loud splash. His heart sank as he saw the giant snake popping out of water less than 6 feet from their boat, its mouth moving towards the boat and its fangs showing. Without thinking, Han's son jumped into the water and summoned his armor underwater. Like a fish, he struggled to swim across the river. The whole process of crossing the river was tragic. It wasn't clear whether the black snake was insatiable or just determined to kill humans, but only 2 boats reached the other side, and only 7 people lived. All the others were in the water and most likely dead. The snake didn't show up again. Son of Heaven. Although the snake was a sacred blood creature, it was not intelligent. "Now it is full. We should not have too much risk crossing," said Luo Tianyong, smiling. "Go over." Son of Heaven gave the order, and the gang went over in 3 boats. As expected, the snake didn't attack anymore, and they all landed safely. "Continue." Luo Tianyong whipped the 7 survivors, who were forced to walk inside the cave, trembling. They regretted so much that they had coveted the bounty. What was money good for if they died here? But they did not encounter any other creatures along the way. In half an hour, they reached the end of the cave. At the end of the cave, there was a pool, and next to the pool was a gravel nest 30 feet wide. In the middle of the nest, there lay 2 eggs the size of ostrich eggs with black patterns. Son of Heaven was overjoyed. "Haha, awesome. Eggs of sacred blood creatures. And there are 2 of them. Now, my sacred geno points could go over 80. Even so, he did not lose his caution and winked at Luo Tianyong, who was equally excited. The latter understood immediately and forced the survivors to fetch the eggs. Trembling, they walked into the gravel nest and carried out the 2 eggs. However, before they were able to leave the nest, the pool started to bubble and bang. A huge snake head stuck out. The dark red snake, eyes staring at the egg thieves. "Damn! Throw the eggs over," Son of Heaven shouted to them, but they were dumbfounded by the snake up close and did not reply him. "Useless motherfuckers!" Son of Heaven scolded and summoned his red sword, running forward. The gang all summoned their weapons and followed him. Rushing in front of the survivors, Son of Heaven grabbed the eggs and ran towards the mouth of the cave. The snake was originally concerned about its eggs and didn't move. Seeing Son of Heaven running away with them, it went into a rage and left the pool, chasing the gang madly. "Block it!" cried Son of Heaven, while he kept running without pause. Luo Tianyong was even more ruthless. He grabbed 2 shivering survivors and threw them at the snake. Catching one in the mouth, the snake swallowed him without chewing. The rest of the gang all followed suit, using the survivors as human shields, which temporarily resisted the snake's attack. They took advantage of it and retreated. Son of Heaven ran fast, holding the 2 snake eggs. It took him no time to arrive at the mouth of the cave. When he was excited, a golden fist appeared in front of him and hit him on the face. He hadn't expected someone hiding behind the cave mouth and was unprepared for the attack. blood spilling and nose crooked. He fell back with his hand covering his face. The two snake eggs suddenly flew out from his arms. A golden figure jumped up, caught one egg with each hand, and ran toward the river. Dollar, son of heaven, fell to the ground, clutching his face. He immediately managed to climb up, saw the unique golden armor, and recognized who it was. After jumping in the water, Han's son had swiftly swum to the shore in the chaos, and instead of going into the cave, he hid behind a boulder and waited until the gang entered the cave. He then followed them and watched. When he saw Son of Heaven running with the eggs, Han's son gave him a hard punch and captured the eggs. Han's son just regretted that his bronze crescent spear had been ruined by Shui Longyan, or he might have been able to kill Son of Heaven with his secret attack. Han's son reached the river and suddenly saw waves roaring. A huge black-scaled snake appeared from the river. Fuck, there's another one. Han's son looked back and saw the other snake chasing the gang. Dollar, you are so #kid. Son of Heaven hated Dollar's guts and gloated that he was stopped by the snake. Han's son quickly had an idea as the snake in the river glared at him. He pushed hard with his right hand secretly, and then threw the snake egg at Son of Heaven. Catch, we will each keep one egg, and let's deal with the snakes together first. Who agreed to that? I will get both eggs and kill you. Thinking Han's son was terrified, Son of Heaven sneered and caught the egg, but the egg broke when it hit him, and the egg was all over him. Son of Heaven was stunned. Chapter 23, Obsidian Dragon. Roar! The giant snake shrieked and rushed madly towards Son of Heaven, who was covered in egg, leaving Han's son alone. Han's son turned and ran with the remaining snake egg. Jumping on an inflatable boat, he desperately rowed to the other side without looking back. He still had an egg with him, and if both snakes decided to go for him, it would be no fun at all. Dollar, fuck your. Han's son heard cursing from behind, followed by all sorts of human voices and the beast's roar. Han's son went to the other side, jumped onto the shore, and ran out of the big gap. Without a pause, he ran toward the shelter. After running for a while, Han's son started to get uneasy. In case Son of Heaven and his gang escaped, they would definitely go for him, and he could by no means outrun their mounts. Han's son decided to go into the forest and take a detour so that he didn't risk being caught by them. They had been in the shelter for years, and everyone was fit and had plenty of beast souls. Even though they were no match for the snakes, surely some of them could get away. It was best to be careful. That night, Han's son found a corner to take shelter from the wind and got some firewood. Sealing the snake egg with a layer of mud, he put on the fire and barbecued it. While cooking, Han's son murmured, "Pure life, before you see this dirty world, let me handle the sin and send you back to heaven." Young obsidian dragon killed. No beast soul gained. Eat it to gain 0 to 10 sacred geno points randomly. Having barbecued it for a while, Han's son heard the voice. So, it was not a snake. Unfortunately, I didn't gain the beast soul, Han's son thought greedily. Soon the egg was cooked, and Han's son used a stick to get the egg out of the fire. Breaking the burnt mud crust on the outside, he saw the delicious egg white. Han's son took a bite, and the egg was so much better than a chicken egg. Young obsidian dragon eaten. 1 sacred geno point gained. Han's son ate the whole egg and was so full he couldn't move. He had gained 5 sacred geno points. Adding the 8 points he already had, Han's son now had 13 sacred geno points. It took Han's son 8 or 9 days to reach Steel Armor Shelter. Son of Heaven and his gang had been back for 2 days already when he arrived. There were only 8 in the gang that returned alive, and everyone was injured. Even some of Son of Heaven's henchmen had died. Son of Heaven wouldn't say what they had done, and Qin Xian and Fiskai failed to find out. Several hired thugs, however, had come back alive after they had fallen into the water. And through them, Qin Xian and Fiskai eventually learned what had happened. They still had no idea what had happened after the hired men fell into the water, so just took for granted that the gang was hurt by the obsidian dragons. Their guess was only half right, because the egg thrown by Han's son also contributed a lot to the gang's predicament. After all, they wouldn't have had to fight the dragons if he hadn't done that. Son of Heaven was afraid of being ridiculed and did not tell what happened later, while secretly he launched a new search for Dollar. It is a pity that Son of Heaven and Luo Tianyang didn't die. Hansen learned what had happened and felt relieved. He was afraid that Son of Heaven might suspect something, seeing he had returned alone. Now that there were other survivors, Hansen naturally had nothing to worry about and caught a primitive copper-toothed beast on his way back to the shelter. If Son of Heaven and his gang came to interrogate him, he could just say he was rushed downstream and got lucky. Hansen was thinking too much because Son of Heaven did not have the time to ask him and didn't make the connection at all. More than half a month was spent on the expedition. Hansen teleported out of God's sanctuary to see his mother and sister. However, at the gate of the transport station, Qin Xian was standing at the exit, looking at him coldly. "You sure can hide. It's been more than half a month since I saw you. Do you think I'll spare you from the punishment you deserve?" "Miss Qin, what do you want?" Hansen looked at her, depressed. Qin Xian was now the station master, and there was no way to bypass her. "Easy. Take this and come with me." Qin Xian threw a combat suit at Han Sr. "You would not kill me anyway," Han Sun thought, taking the combat suit and following her back to the station. They didn't teleport to God's sanctuary, but to the combat room in the station. Han Sun put on the combat suit and entered the room, where Qin Xian stood in a red combat suit with black stripes. A combat suit was not just clothing, but a high-tech product that could function as armor, with inbuilt sensors which recorded all data during fighting, including heart rate, breathing, punch speed, and the impact taken. This allowed the users to understand their physical status and determine their future practice methods. "If you win, I will leave you alone for good." Qin Xian curled her finger, indicating Han Sun should attack. "You are about to max out on sacred geno points and have so many beast souls. I just graduated, and you have trained in the army for so long. Why don't you just say you want to kill me?" Even if Hansen could win, he didn't want to expose the fact that he was Dollar. And he wasn't confident about the fight. "No beast soul allowed. And we are clear if you can still stand after 50 movements," Qin Xian said casually. "Deal." Hansen believed he could endure 50 movements if he focused on defense. Chapter 24. Sneak Attack Skills. Qin Xian had made up her mind to kick Hansen's ass. The first time, when Hansen stabbed her in the rear, she could attribute it to his ignorance, while the harassment on the train couldn't be a coincidence. Having identified Hansen as a freak and bastard, Qin Xian walked up to him with anger in her eyes and said, "You start." Bang! Hansen punched her in the face. Clutching her nose and stepping back, Qin Xian stared at him, not believing what had happened. Hansen was not like any man she had seen. She let him start, and he just immediately punched her, which was completely beyond her expectations. That's why she was not prepared for it. They were standing close to each other, so she was hit on the nose. In her understanding, in a showdown, the two opponents should go to the middle and take their positions. And men always acted as gentlemen in front of her. Even if they were weaker, they'd still want to show their masculinity. No one was like Han's son, who threw a punch without a sign, hitting her face where she wasn't even covered by protective gear. "I'm sorry. So sorry. Have we not started?" Hansen repeatedly apologized. He thought he'd let her beat him to let out the anger and wanted it to end sooner. He didn't expect that he could hit her nose, which soon turned red. "We had started, and we'll continue, you bang." Qin Xian had more to say, but he acted hearing continue and hit her on the nose again. She was in so much pain, she had to squat on the floor. "You said continue, so I thought." Han Sun quickly explained. "I'll kill you." Qin Xian jumped from the ground. Not caring about the rules anymore, she moved forward and started to beat Han Sun up. Resisting Qin Xian's beating, Han Sun found his fighting skills were much weaker than Qin Xian's, and he couldn't even play defense. He barely got through a dozen punches and was beaten down. Way less than 50. "See you next time." Qin Xian turned away, leaving behind Han Sun, who was wounded all over. Han Sun stood up with a wry smile on his face. Wearing a combat suit, he wasn't injured seriously. It was just some pain he would have to put up with. The worst part was he seemed to have enraged Qin Xian even more. After Han Sun left the station to return home, Qin Xian took a shower and was about to delete the video and data of the fight right away. She was the station master and the strongest woman in Steel Armor Sanctuary. There was no way she'd let people see the video of herself being punched in the nose by Ass Freak. Before deletion, Qin Xian watched it again, and she was momentarily shocked. She thought that the reason she was hit was that Han Sun took advantage when she wasn't prepared. After carefully reviewing it several times, Qin Xian suddenly found that although this was a very important reason, it couldn't fully explain her being hit. Was it, thought Qin Xian, and repeatedly watched the part when he hit her and compared the data collected by the combat suit. So, his fist fighting skills are really poor, just about the normal level of a compulsory education graduate, but his movements were explosive and unexpected. Qin Xian mumbled as she was checking the data. And there was something about him, like a killer. Before he made a move, I could not predict his intention, and that had left me unguarded. When he threw a punch, there wasn't even the slightest change in his emotions, not even when he was hitting hard. The separation of behaviors and emotions should belong to a good assassin. A fatal blow under ordinary cover. No, he just graduated, and there is no way he is an assassin. Also, his movements were too bad for him to be one. So this separation was just his innate talent. Qin Xian could only think of this one possibility. What she didn't know was that Han Sun was really poor when he entered God's sanctuary. At the time, he offended both Qin Xian and Son of Heaven. No one dared to be with him, and no one dared to trade with him. The new graduates started to hunt creatures using an ordinary alloy dagger, without any experience. Even just ordinary creatures posed great threats to a beginner, not to mention that they often came in groups. So Han Sun must have taken an individual creature by surprise and killed it. Once surrounded by a group, he could only wait to die. To minimize the danger, he had to ambush and attack. And the most important part was not to alert the creatures, who had more acute senses than men. In the first month, Han Sun was honing his skills. In failure after failure, he learned to hide his emotions and intentions so that the creatures sensed no danger even when he approached. It was like playing dirty, but it was also the only way for him to survive at that point. Later, he had to keep practicing and improve his skills in order to kill primitive creatures, and gradually they became part of his instinct. Although Han Sun's fighting skills were not even close to advanced, he was no worse than a great assassin in his explosiveness and timing. Like an assassin, his skills were also honed between life and death, and the only difference was that it was the creatures instead of men that he killed. Chapter 25, Ghost Hunt. He seems to have great strength, speed, and explosiveness, which indicates that he has fairly high geno points, unless he is practicing hyper-geno arts. Qin Xian looked at some data, but didn't worry too much about it. Han Sun's data was indeed better than average, but data like this can be seen anywhere in the shelter. It was only a bit unexpected that it belonged to Han Sr. Talented, but vulgar and despicable. I'll just teach him a lesson next time, thought Qin Xian bitterly. Because of Han Sun's sneak attacks, she labeled him as despicable again. It was indeed hard for most people to imagine that Han Sun had integrated the sneak attack skills into his practice and instinct. The reason why Han Sun could hit Son of Heaven in the face was his sneak attack skills. Or else someone like him could never hit Son of Heaven, who had great geno points and hyper-geno arts. Sneak attack didn't sound good, but it was practical. When he got home, Han Sun had dinner with his mother and Han Yen. The next day, he did not go to God's sanctuary, but took the train to a martial hall. Han Sun had only learned basic martial arts in the past, and those were designed for people who had no geno points. As one started to gain geno points in God's sanctuary, one became stronger in general. With the practice of hyper-geno arts, the body had become even more unique, and this difference allowed people like him to practice certain martial arts that normal people could not practice. These martial arts can be learned at martial halls as well as at advanced colleges. And martial masters who worked at martial halls taught these for a living. Unlike in ancient times, these martial masters did not rely on their inherited fame, nor did they want to leave legacies. Their only goal was to make profit. So, the more money a student spent, the better martial arts were taught. Martial arts all had certain requirements for physical conditioning. If the requirements were not met, it wouldn't be possible to practice. In the past, Han's son had no money and no significant enhancement in his physical conditioning. Now, with 13 sacred geno points and lots of other geno points, he had become stronger. The practice of jade skin had also helped. Now his physical condition was among the best in his peer group. Ares Martial Hall was famous on Roca Planet. The tuition there was very expensive, but the martial arts taught were very good. The owner of the Martial Hall was a veteran and was famous back in the days when he was serving. After getting severely injured in a battle, he went back to Roca to open Ares Martial Hall. Everyone called the veteran Old Devil. As long as you paid enough, he would teach you anything, and you could indeed learn some really good skills. Young man, want to learn something? We have elementary classes, intermediate classes, advanced classes, and special classes here. You can learn fist fighting, weapon skills, and even hyper-geno arts here. For an elementary class, you could choose to learn a martial art that I define as elementary for $10,000. For an intermediate class, you could choose a martial art that I define as intermediate for $100,000. Advanced classes are each for $1 million, and special classes are each for $10 million. At these prices, I could guarantee a good learning outcome. Fellow, you look like you have a bright future ahead of you. Do you want to sign up for all special classes? All 12 martial arts for only $50 million. Old Devil looked at Han's son with a greedy smile, like a dragon looking at gold. I would like to sign up for an advanced class to learn Ghost Hunt. Hansen came here for a reason. His dad had learned from Old Devil and told him Old Devil has a great martial art called Ghost Hunt. Unfortunately, his dad's physical condition hadn't reached the required level for Ghost Hunt, so he couldn't learn it. He always had regretted that and asked Han's son to learn Ghost Hunt when he grew up. Hansen also heard from his father that Ghost Hunt was especially effective on women. Han's son had once again offended Qin Xian, and it didn't look like she would let it go easily. Not willing to be bullied by her, he thought of his father's words about Old Devil and Ghost Hunt and wanted to take the opportunity. After all, $1 million was a piece of cake for him right now. Although Ghost Hunt is among the most advanced, its requirements were even higher than those of special classes. You must at least max out on mutant geno points to stand a chance. How fit are you? Old Devil looked at Han's son in surprise. No one had chosen Ghost Hunt in a while because of its high entry barrier. You can test me to see if I can meet the standards. Hansen was not sure whether he would pass either. Technically, with 13 sacred geno points, he should be more fit than those who had maxed out on mutant geno points. 10,000 test fee for a physical fitness test. Old Devil placed a card reader in front of Hans Sr. Hansen took out his credit card and paid 10,000, and Old Devil was quite pleased by his generosity. After scanning and testing in a dozen instruments, the test result was out, which slightly surprised Old Devil. Your physical fitness is very good. You must have almost maxed out on ordinary, primitive, and mutant geno points. Can I learn Ghost Hunt? Han's son gave no reply, as his mutant geno points were less than 10, and sacred geno points and jade skin would explain his fitness. Yes, 1 million. Old Devil did not ask further, placing the card reader once again in front of Hans Sr. While a bit upset about spending his hard-earned money, Hansen paid for it. Young man, you have great things lined up for you. Come with me. You'll have to memorize Ghost Hunt first. Old Devil showed Han's son into a screening room, turned on the hologram, and left him alone in the room. It was Old Devil himself practicing Ghost Hunt in hologram. Hansen looked for a while, and his eyes widened. He thought to himself, wow, so that's what you mean by especially effective on women, Dad? Chapter 26, Mutant Three-Eyed Cat. Ghost Hunt should really be called Skin to Skin, as all movements were aimed at one thing, which was to stick on the opponent. Wrapping, blocking, and winding, all sorts of movements allowed the body to act like a snake to tightly trap the limbs of the opponent, so that there was no way for the opponent to attack. If the opponent was a woman, with the practice of Ghost Hunt, one would be able to feel her up. If it was a normal woman, she would feel overwhelmed in just a few movements. If I were to use Ghost Hunt to fight Qin Xian, she would consider me even more of a pervert. Hansen suddenly regretted picking this martial art to learn. However, the tuition was non-refundable. Well, I'll just learn it first and see. Han-sun calmed down and started to carefully watch and memorize Ghost Hunt. With a closer look, Han-sun found that the martial art was not so nasty as it had seemed at first. There were indeed a lot of advanced skills, especially in wrestling and close combat. Many were very practical and could save a life at critical moments. It did indeed have high requirements for fitness, especially for flexibility. Even for those who had maxed out on mutant geno points, it would be somewhat difficult to meet the requirements. The reason Han-sun was able to pass, in addition to his sacred geno points, was jade skin training, which had greatly enhanced his flexibility. The teaching method of Old Devil was straightforward. You could learn the movements from his pre-recorded hologram, and then he would correct you where you made mistakes and remind you where you should be more careful. He could be reached via comlink, and his replies were detailed. Although he charged a lot, he was very engaged in teaching. With a strong body, Han-sun was able to start practicing Ghost Hunt in half a month. But only to get started was not enough. Martial arts that required close combat like this were the most dangerous. If not a master, one could be easily killed in the actual battle. Han-sun would never hunt creatures or fight with others in God's sanctuary using Ghost Hunt before he mastered it. Qin Xian, if you leave me alone, I'll let it go. If you insist on giving me a hard time, I'll have to use you to practice Ghost Hunt, thought Han Sr. When he came to the teleport station, Han-sun still did not want to see Qin Xian. Looking around from time to time, he didn't see her until he entered God's sanctuary. In his room at Steel Armor Shelter, the primitive copper-toothed beast had become a mutant creature. Han-sun decided to let it keep evolving into a sacred blood creature. At the gate of the shelter, the gang of Son of Heaven was gone. It had been half a month since Han-sun left God's sanctuary, so Dollar was never spotted. They weren't very patient, so they just left. In fact, Son of Heaven had been aware that it was useless to guard the gate, as they didn't know what Dollar really looked like. So even if he did walk in front of them, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. Han-sun left the shelter and went into the mountains, ready to find a remote place to hunt. After entering the deep forests, human footprints became scarce. Han-sun summoned his armor when he was alone and went further into the mountains. Han-sun no longer bothered to hunt ordinary creatures. He would just chase them away or ignore them, and was only interested in hunting rare primitive creatures for food. Now Han-sun had maxed out on ordinary geno points and had over 80 primitive geno points, so he didn't really need commonly seen primitive creatures. Now what he really needed was mutant and sacred blood geno points. Han-sun wanted to complete his evolution with all 4 types of geno points maxed out. It would be really slow if he used only the black crystal to do this. For primitive creatures, I don't even need to do the hunting. The mutant beast soul I got from Qin Xian was a pet. It should be able to kill some primitive creatures if summoned. Han-sun looked at the beast soul in the shape of a black cat that he got from Blackmail. Type of beast soul of mutant three-eyed cat. Pet. Han-sun summoned the mutant three-eyed cat, and a little black kitty the size of his palm appeared. It was rubbing at the foot of Han-sun, looking just like a normal pet cat with its tiny body and wide eyes. Could such a little thing kill those creatures? Han-sun picked it up to take a look, not convinced that a cute thing like this possessed great strength. But then he thought, size didn't necessarily matter. Since it was a mutant beast soul, it must be able to hunt primitive creatures. Seeing some primitive triangular-scaled beast wandering nearby, he ordered the cat, "Go kill the triangular-scaled beast." The little guy meowed and got up its nerve to streak toward the triangular-scaled beast, biting on the tail. The triangular-scaled beast hesitated and looked back at the cat. Throwing up its tail, the triangular-scaled beast then whipped the cat away like a basketball. The mutant three-eyed cat screamed and ran behind Han-sun's feet, shivering. She tricked me. No wonder she didn't even blink when she gave me this. It's a useless beast soul. Han-sun stared at the cat hidden behind him with widened eyes. Han-sun tried a few times more, and the cat was indeed of no use, not even able to beat the weakest primitive creature, a copper-toothed beast. Chased around and running, it was not like a mutant beast soul at all. Suddenly, Han-sun thought of the type of beast soul. According to his knowledge, the beast souls that can be summoned to fight on their own were normally either fighters or mounts. while he knew nothing about pet beast souls. Chapter 27, SOS. What the heck is a pet beast soul? It's not just for fun, right? I was really tricked by Qin Xian. What am I going to do with it? Han Sen's heart sank, and he killed the copper-toothed beast that was chasing the cat. When he was about to take the cat back, it started to meow around the body of the copper-toothed beast with its mouth watering. Go ahead. Han Sen looked at the mutant three-eyed cat curiously. Normal fighter bee souls and mount bee souls didn't have to eat, and they could just recover in a vacuum once injured. Receiving the approval from Han Sen, the cat rushed to the corpse and started gnawing, but it was clear that its teeth and claws were not sharp enough to break down the skin. Depressed, Han Sen peeled the skin off, sliced the meat with a dagger, and fed it to the cat. And this little thing sure could eat. The copper-toothed beast was at least twice its size, and it managed to eat all the flesh. Lying on the ground with a full belly, the cat could barely move, and Han Sen was almost worried about it. Helplessly shaking his head, Han Sen took the cat back and decided to research the use of a pet beast soul on Skynet when he got back home. Mutant creatures were not so easy to find. Han Sen had been in the mountains for more than half a month and did not encounter any mutant creatures. He did find quite a few primitive creatures new to him, and now had more than 90 primitive geno points. Hunting alone in the mountains was quite boring, so Han Sen would summon the cat to play with and feed for fun when he was resting. The protection from the black beetle armor allowed him to practice ghost hunt even when hunting primitive creatures. Although he was still not skilled at it, he noticed the strengths of this martial art, especially in wrestling. It was very easy to use and would incapacitate the creatures in a short time. However, close combat can be dangerous, and there were a few times when he used the wrong movement and could have been killed by the creatures. For over a month in the mountains, he had not found a single mutant creature, while he made a lot of progress in using Ghost Hunt. Later, Han Sen no longer needed to rely on his armor when hunting primitive creatures. One of his biggest gains was that he finally maxed out on primitive geno points. Thinking of the fact that he was struggling for ordinary geno points just a few months ago, he was suddenly in a great mood and started to make a fire and barbecue some meat. Help! Help! Han Sen was sharing the barbecue with a mutant three-eyed cat he named Meowth when he saw a guy in ragged clothes running toward him, crying for help. He quickly got up and looked over there. With just one look, Han Sen abandoned the meat on the ground, took back Meowth, and started to run. "Buddy, please help me. I'll give you money, however much you want," cried the man while running. "You can keep your money." Han Sen did not turn his head and ran desperately. You first needed to be alive to spend money, and there were at least 100 Mamo beasts chasing him. Although Mamo beasts were only primitive creatures, they each weighed more than a dozen tons and had the toughest skin. If hit or trampled by one, his internal organs would probably be shattered even with his armor on, not to mention there were so many of them. Even if Qin Xian, Son of Heaven, and Fiskai were all here, they'd have run under such circumstances. "Buddy, not so fast. Give me a hand, and I will thank you." Behind Han Sen, the man was out of breath. "I'm in danger as well. Just pray." After running for a while, Han Sen saw a cliff ahead of him with green vines hanging, grabbed a vine, and started climbing up. The benefits of the gained geno points and practice of Ghost Hunt were showing. Han Sen was in the air with just a bit of climbing and jumped on a large stone platform extending from the cliff. Seeing Han Sen climbing up, the man also ran over and wanted to follow him. The man was either too weak or too tired, so he slipped down after a few tries. "Buddy, help!" With the Mamo beast less than 30 feet from him, the man was about to cry out. "Hang on!" Han Sen grabbed the vine the man was holding onto and started pulling hard. Overjoyed, the man climbed with all fours, leveraging Han Sen's strength. When he was 30 feet from the ground, he heard Mamo beasts running into the cliff. Han Sen and the man felt as if even the mountains were trembling. With pulling and climbing, the man was finally on the platform. Once on the platform, the man lied down as if he were paralyzed, while breathing heavily, unable to speak. "Friend, what on earth did you do to them?" Han Sen looked down at the Mamo beasts running into one another. They wouldn't even leave after they got up, roaring at the platform. But they couldn't climb up as they were even bulkier than elephants. "Do not mention it. Worst luck ever." The man calmed down, fished out a packet of cigarettes from his pocket, lit one, and offered one to Han's son. You saved my life, and I, Lin Beifong, will always remember. I will show my gratitude after returning to the shelter. Best with cash. Han's son looked at the cigarette and knew the man must be rich. A packet of Schwarzwald cigarettes cost more than 10,000, and there was no need to be modest with such a wealthy guy. Chapter 28. Expensive Food. Buddy, what's your name? Lin Beifong threw a lighter at Hans Sr. Hans Sr. Hansen caught the lighter and lit the cigarette. Made from the tobacco produced from Schwarzwald, the cigarettes were harmless to the body and especially refreshing. For those who were risking their lives in God's sanctuary, the Schwarzwald cigarettes were definitely heaven sent. Son, trust me, when we are back at the shelter, you can have as much money as you want. Problems that can be solved by money are no problems for me. They chatted for a while, and Hansen understood what had happened. Lin Beifong was not only rich, but super rich. He was also lucky to be assigned to a shelter where he had very close acquaintances. So, he bought a whole lot of mutant beast souls. Armor, weapons, mounts, fighters, etc. He also hired a group of people to hunt with him, wanting to hunt a sacred blood creature. With his great luck, they indeed caught a sacred blood creature, but what happened after was not so lucky. The people he hired either died or escaped, and he just went running into the mountains. After all sorts of danger, he had managed to survive, but lost almost all the beast souls he bought. If it was not for Han's son, he would have been killed by the Mamo beasts. Son, how far is our glory shelter from here? Asked Lin Beifong. It's your glory shelter. Hansen laughed. Lin Beifong was shocked. Son, are you joking? I came from Steel Armor Shelter, and it takes 2 weeks to return there. Shit, I'm really in the range of another shelter. Lin Beifong was very depressed. He had friends in Glory Shelter, and it was easy for him to buy flesh and beast souls. But it was likely that no one knew him at a different shelter, so even with money, it would be hard to buy advanced flesh and beast souls. Hey, what did you do to the Mamo beasts? They're being so persistent. Han's son looked down again, and the Mamo beasts were still there, roaring and standing on their hind legs, trying to climb onto the stone platform. I was walking and got hungry, so I saw a young Mamo beast grazing and said Lin Beifong bitterly. It was unfortunate. It seems that we are trapped here for some time, so before they leave, let's be nice to each other. Hansen laughed. Right, let's do that. Lin Beifong smiled agreeably and approached Han's son. Son, I'm so thirsty. Can I drink from your water bag? 10,000 per cup, Hansen said, narrowing his eyes. Shit, what happened to being nice? Cried Lin Beifong. You're paying, I'm selling. Isn't that nice? But your water is too expensive. It is even more expensive than water from Planet Snowspring. And 10,000 can buy a few bottles of that. It can't be water from Planet Snowspring that you have. Lin Beifong glanced at Hansen's water bag and spoke. Although this is only water from a pool, we do not know how long we'll be trapped here. Water is life at this point, and we'll die within a week without water. And you think it's not worth it? Hansen smiled. It's worth it, but my wallet was lost on the way. Could you give it to me on credit, and I'll pay you double when we arrive at the shelter, Lin Beifong said. We don't know each other, and you still owe me the life-saving fee. And now you want to get water on credit. You're making this so hard for me. Hansen looked indecisive. Triple no. Quadruple. Deal. Hansen took out his own cup and poured Lin Beifong a cup of water. Lin Beifong drank the water in a gulp and gave the empty cup back 3 times for more water. That's it for today. I don't have much water and need to save. We still don't know when a Mamo beast will leave. Hansen put the water bag away when Lin Beifong asked the 4th time. Son, you are so strong, so brave, and so impressive that you are able to hunt alone deep in the mountains. What do you want? Hansen rolled his eyes. Lin Beifong approached Hansen and said, Son, my beast soul was completely destroyed on the way here. Now I feel so insecure with no beast soul on me. Do you have extra beast souls to sell? Speaking of beast souls, Hansen had killed quite a few primitive beasts in recent days and had gained no beast soul. He might have used up his luck on the 2 sacred blood beast souls he got. No beast soul. Would you like some primitive meat jerky? Yes, of course. 10,000 per piece. Son, this is such a small piece. Trapped on the stone platform for 8 days, they still didn't feel like the Mamo beasts would ever leave. We cannot wait any longer. We must find a way out, Han's son told Lin Beifeng solemnly. We still have some food and water. Let's wait. And maybe the herd is about to retreat. Lin Beifeng had a lingering fear about the Mamo beasts. We still have water and food, as well as physical strength. When we have used up everything, we would stand no chance, Hansen said. But how is it even possible with such a herd? Lin Beifeng said bitterly. So, we will have to climb up. Hansen pointed to the cliff above. Lin Beifeng looked at the cliff standing straight into the clouds and suddenly shuddered. Are we capable of doing this? We have to. It beats waiting to die, and we don't have to climb over. If we could climb up a bit and find somewhere to stand, we could just walk around and go down on the other side of the cliff, Hansen said. Son, I agree, Lin Beifeng quickly said. Great. We will start a climb now using the vines. Hansen grabbed a vine, made sure it was tough enough, and began climbing. Chapter 29. Stormbird. Son, you are so fit. You must have maxed out on mutant geno points. Lin Beifeng stopped climbing as he felt his arms hurting too much, while Hansen was still climbing briskly. Hang in there. There's a rock sticking out up there, and we can go there and rest. Hansen looked down at Lin Beifeng. Son, I can't. Shall we just go back down? You stay here. I will go up first, and then pull you up with the vine. Hansen started to climb with all fours, and he was so fast, it looked like he was walking on the ground, which stunned Lin Beifeng. It took a little while for Hansen to reach the rock and use the vine to pull Lin Beifeng up. The rock was the size of a table. The two huddled on the rock and looked around. The cliff was so steep, and there was no way to climb if it wasn't for the vines, which only covered part of the cliff. Son, let's stay here for 2 days, and maybe the Mamo beasts will leave if they don't see us. The cliff is so steep, and I'm not as fit as you. I really can't go up, Lin Beifeng said anxiously. Well, you just rest here, and I'll go see if there's a way out. If there is, I'll come back for you. If not, then we could just wait for the Mamo beast to leave, Hansen said, and got up to climb. Son, you will not abandon me. Lin Beifeng grabbed Hansen's clothes like a little girl. Don't worry. How can I abandon you when you owe me so much money? Hansen patted Lin Beifeng on the shoulder and climbed away. Because he had practiced ghost hunt, Hansen was particularly good at climbing. As he was much stronger now, it wasn't too hard for him either. Hansen climbed for a few hundred feet and still saw nothing but the cliff. The vines continued to go up, and he was wondering where their roots were. Hansen felt a little tired and was thinking about going down. But with another look, he felt like there was a rock sticking out above him. I'll climb up to the rock above and have a look. If there is no way out, I'll just go down to eat and drink. Maybe we could outrun the Mamo beasts, Hansen decided, and kept climbing. The stone was farther and larger than Hansen had imagined. It was half the size of a basketball court. When he got on the stone, Hansen's eyes suddenly widened. On the stone was a nest made with tree limbs and vines. It looked like a huge swallow's nest, almost taking up a better half of the stone. An egg at least 3 feet tall lay in the nest. Wow, such a big egg. How big would the creature that laid it be? Hansen shuddered. The creature was not here now, but he dared not think what would happen if it came back. Being big did not necessarily mean it was advanced. Mamo beasts were huge, but merely primitive creatures. However, the ability to make a nest and lay an egg on the cliff proved the creature was no average creature. It could very likely be a sacred blood creature. If the egg belonged to a sacred blood creature, Hansen would not want to miss it. After some hesitation, Hansen approached the egg and cut a hole in the eggshell with the tip of his dagger. Fishing out a straw from his pocket, he stuck it in the hole and started sucking. Suddenly, the sweet juice filled Hansen's mouth. Sacred blood creature, Stormbird's egg eaten. No sacred geno point gained. Although no sacred blood geno point was gained, the fact that the egg was indeed a sacred blood creature left Hansen in joy. It was such a huge egg, with at most only 10 sacred geno points, that he was not surprised that he hadn't gained a point with just a mouthful. and he already had some sacred geno points and couldn't have all 10 points. So he could only get 6 or 7 if he was lucky. But sacred geno points were so hard to get that even just a few more would help. Han-san was desperately sucking the liquid with the straw that he used to drink from his water bag when he was hiding from the creatures that he didn't have to move. It was unexpectedly handy as well for sucking the egg juice. The egg was so big that when Han-san finally heard the cue that he was gaining 1 sacred geno point, he was so full that he could drink no more. Han-san pulled out the straw and then sealed the hole with mud. Putting the straw back, he descended using the vine. "Son, what took you so long? Is there a way out?" Seeing Han-san coming from above, Lin Beifeng, who had been worried sick, asked immediately in a low voice so as not to alert the Mamo beast below. "No, it is as steep as a mirror, and we have nowhere to go." Han-san shook his head. "Then we have no option but to wait for the herd to leave," Lin Beifeng said disappointedly. "It's all right. We still have some food and water left." Han-san was really taking his time now, as he couldn't finish drinking the raw egg anytime soon, and he wouldn't leave before that. They huddled on the stone to spend the night, and the next morning Han-san climbed up to eat more egg. He made sure there was no creature in the nest before he went up and broke the seal to drink from the egg. "Son, why are you climbing up again?" Lin Beifeng wondered when Han-san came down. "There are sacred blood creatures above, and I was having a feast up there. Do you want to go together?" Han-san laughed. "You can keep it." Lin Beifeng glanced at him and didn't believe a word he said. Even if there really were sacred blood creatures, Han-san was more likely to be their food. Chapter 30. An Empty Egg. Han-san climbed up every day to steal some egg juice and never met a sacred blood creature returning to the nest. Han-san thought the egg's parents might have been hunted already. But to be safe, every time he finished drinking from the egg, he would return to where Lin Beifeng was instead of staying inside the nest. Lin Beifeng just assumed that Han-san was going up to find a way. When they had waited for 2 or 3 days, Lin Beifeng looked down, and with the fog, he wasn't sure if the Mamo beast had left. "Son, how about we go down a bit and check if they have left?" Lin Beifeng couldn't handle the heat during the day and coldness at night on the cliff anymore. "Let's wait for 2 more days to be safe. If they see us now and guard the place for another week, we will run out of food." Han-san's geno points were higher, so he had heard the Mamo beasts leaving the previous night. But he didn't want to go now, as he hadn't finished the egg. Lin Beifeng felt that made sense, so he held on. However, after 2 days, Lin Beifeng still saw Han-san making his daily climb. The vines only covered a small part, and if Han-san was just exploring the way, he should have done that already. So why did he keep climbing? What is it? Lin Beifeng wondered, yet he still did not believe there could be sacred blood creatures. "Son, why is it that you climb every day?" Lin Beifeng could not help but ask. "I told you, there are sacred blood creatures, and I'm going up to eat," replied Han Sr. "Would you take me with you?" Lin Beifeng did not believe Han-san's words, but was very curious. "Okay." Hansen smiled, grabbed a vine, and started climbing. Lin Beifeng followed him up, but he was so weak that he stopped halfway and asked, "Son, I've got to stop." "Where are you going?" "We are almost there." "Wait here, and I'll pull you up." Han-san climbed up like a gecko. In a short while, Lin Beifeng saw a vine thrown from above. Tying himself to the vine, he borrowed Han-san's strength and climbed. When he reached the stone, Lin Beifeng was stunned by the size of the egg. "My God, such a big egg. Is it sacred blood?" "Yes, this is a sacred blood creature's egg." Han-san nodded. "Gee, it really is a sacred blood egg. Son, you are amazing." Lin Beifeng was pleasantly surprised. He smashed the egg with a fist and wanted to drink. Stretching his tongue out and waiting, Lin Beifeng saw no egg juice flowing out and smashed a few times more, making a big hole in the eggshell. "Where's the egg juice?" Lin Beifeng looked blankly inside the hollow eggshell. "I drank it." Han-san blinked. "You drank it?" Lin Beifeng looked at Han Sr. "A few days ago, I told you that and invited you to join me. I thought you didn't want to come." Han-san spread out his hands. Lin Beifeng regretted so much that he was ready to kill himself right then. "Son, I had no way of knowing you were telling the truth." Who could have imagined a sacred blood egg on the cliff? If I knew, I would have come, even if I had broken all my limbs. Bayphone, don't worry. I'll inform you next time I find a sacred blood egg. Han's son smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Son, next time such good things happen, you must remember to let me know. Money is not a problem, and I promise I will never say no to you again. Lin Bayphone was upset. I promise. Han's son made such an effort to bring him up just to hear these words from him. People like Lin Bayphone made great customers. Lin Bayphone sighed for a while, smashed the eggshell, and carried it with him. He wanted to see if he could boil some sacred geno points from it. Not in 100 years, Han's son chuckled to himself. When they got to the bottom of the cliff, the Mamo beast had left already, so the two went back to steel armor shelter. When they were about to arrive, Hen's son smiled and said to Lin Bayphone, Bayphone, my reputation is not that great here, so I won't go in with you. I'll see you around. Lin Bayphone quickly said, Son, what do you take me for? We have been through death together, and I'll kill whoever is disrespectful to you. It's fine. I have to go and want no trouble. Just enter alone. Hansen would not believe someone as glib as him, so he waved goodbye and entered the shelter first. The Stormbird egg added 5 more sacred geno points to Han's son, which were fewer than he had expected, but it was a surprise in itself, so it was still great. Now Han's son had 18 sacred geno points. It was a shame that he didn't get a bee soul from it, but it was quite normal, since killing 10 creatures wouldn't even guarantee a bee soul. Hansen just got lucky previously. Han's son happily returned to his room and was teleported out of God's sanctuary. Before he left the station, a slim figure blocked his way. Station master. Such a coincidence. Han's son groaned inwardly. He had totally forgot about his discord with Qin Xian. Come with me, Qin Xian said coldly, walking toward the combat room. She was upset that Han's son had been able to hit her last time and wanted to kick his ass before she could let it go.